So let's make sure that we are throwing out the right financial recipes when they're picking up our habits. Make sure that when we represent to everybody that's watching us, that they're like, wow, this is something to follow, which was a big part of the reason why I wrote the book Afroeconomics, because I was like, I really need to have this cataloged. I really need to be able to uh, have a chronicle of the principles, the 10 principles. That's all I want you to grab, is that the 10 principles of Afroeconomics. And the book makes it easy for us to say, hey, this is our lifestyle. These are the things that we focus on. This is the things that I want our family to do. Indeed. Thank you. Y'all are so kind. I'm going to start recording now. So we will have it in our YouTube library as well. Here we go. Thank you for sharing your Wednesday night with me. This is the 18th the 18th day of November in 2020. 20 is in there somewhere. November 18th, 2020, and I am JB Bryan, the President and Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, the home of Afroeconomics. And tonight's discussion is probably one of the most powerful discussions that we will ever have, because when people think of me, they think of investing. When I mean, I've had people tell me, I will say, oh, about anything else, and they'll go, wow, I only think of you when it comes to investments. I didn't think about you could help me decide on this real estate deal, or you could help me decide on this insurance product, or you could help me analyze these things. But as a registered investment advisory firm, we look at your financial planning holistically. And a big part of it that I am making a lifelong commitment to is bringing my community into the stock market and giving us additional exposure into the stock market, because we are not very high stock market investors. So many times when you see nice wealth development in the market, that we don't, as a community, get to take advantage of that. But in other sectors of the market, that if you'll see changes in, let's say, when there was the mortgage crisis and the foreclosures were huge in 2007, 8, 9, that hit our community really hard because we have a heavy exposure in the real estate sector. So I want to talk about, and one of the key things that I'm going to talk about is the importance of diversification. That even though you may feel very confident about CDs, or very confident about having your money in savings account, or very confident about having all of these residential real estate properties, or all of these commercial real estate properties, even though you're very confident in that area, that you have to give yourself the opportunity of the advantages of diversifying past our comfort zone. Because typically we find ourselves stuck in a comfort zone because that's what my father always did, or that's what your granddad always did, or that's what your family always did. That doesn't necessarily make it the best thing. Can y'all feel me on that? And I'm going to open up some microphones, because I think it's important that I get some feedback today on your philosophy of why we don't participate in the stock market, um, the as a large percentage of the Black community. And those that do, typically, it will be through, because that's the only investment options that they have at work. And when I look at the investment options that you're doing at work, way too often, I mean, I have met people at the end of their career, and their entire 30 plus years of working, they never put any of their money into anything that would have volatility, any of the growth areas at all, any of the stock mutual funds at all. They were like, no way, I'm not going to do it. So, when I looked at it, I thought to myself, wow, I wish that I had met them earlier, earlier in life, because of the opportunities and that's what I love about the AfroEconomics membership, because one of the first things I do is I want to address how are you investing for your work retirement plan. And if you don't have a plan at work, then that's where we start and set up an IRA or a Roth IRA or a self-employed 401k or whatever the most appropriate retirement account is for you. That's what we start taking advantage of those opportunities, even though um, even though it's not hard, it's not easy. It's not easy to try to get you to do something that is outside of the norm. Like I've gone in, I remember early in my career, and I met this doctor. I was, how you're just going when you I didn't even stay in the office at that point. I would just go to buildings and just walk through the building and give people my business card. And this particular doctor said, "Oh, it was a black medical building." And the doctor said, "Oh, come on in, sit down." And I said, this is what I do." And the someone said, "Do not call my name." Don't call my name. Okay, I promise I won't call your name. The I don't know, but I hope I won't call your names. But look, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to lead it. I'm going to read. You want me to read that? All right. It would be great if you would say it out loud, because this person that doesn't want their name said, they actually have a long paragraph of what they sent to me. So anyway, back to the doctor's office. So at the at the doctor's office, he said, "Sit down." So we're talking, and I was telling him about all the different investment options that are available to him, and da 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 da. And he said, "My retirement is on the wall." And I was very young, mind you, like early 20s when I became a stockbroker. So, so I'm like, what? So he says, "My retirement is on the wall." And do you know what he was talking about? Do y'all know what he was talking about?
His
Degree.
degree. His
Nope.
Degree.
degree. His doctorate degree.
No. He had art. So he would buy all of this art, and that he would buy pieces, I guess. And he was like that. And when I'm ready to retire, he said that he was going to sell those pieces of art. And when I thought about key things of why this discussion, and a key thing, like I put down about 7 key points. And one of them is, what's this? Point number 5, that the stock market is liquid. Do you know what that means? It's liquid. We're talking about reasons that you should consider investing in the stock market via mutual fund, via individual stocks, via ETFs, but having access. Do you know what liquid means?
Get your money back.
That you have access to it quickly. So what would illiquid mean? What would be an illiquid investment?
Real estate.
Real estate, and as well as what else? The painting, the art that he was talking about. I'm like, I said, well, have you considered, diversifying? Like maybe, talking to me about, some things I said, because when you're trying to value this and determine how much income you can create from this retirement plan that you have on your wall, that I don't see, you being able to do a very quick turnaround on this art, especially if it's very expensive. Then the market gets what? Smaller. Like if Miss Williams, she's a real estate agent, member AfroEconomics. Miss Williams, tell me, if you're trying to sell a $1.5 million property versus a $500,000 property, which one will sell the fastest?
The one with the lowest amount, which is
E-
$500,000. Yes.
Exactly. Because there's what? A bigger market
Bigger
for it.
market segment. Yes.
Bigger market, easier what? One has to get a jumbo loan, right? One
Right.
doesn't.
Right.
All this
Yeah.
stuff, right? So
Access. Yeah.
so imagine if you had a $500,000 painting, you know, I mean, you got to really get to a particular broker, I mean, art broker. So, and then they have to have certain customers, and or there's some paintings probably that are worth like 1.5 million. But you have to, but it's illiquid because the market for it is so small, and then the things, but there are actually some investments that are traded on the stock exchange that are not really illiquid. Like there are some alternative investments that I have found in client accounts from when I'm doing evaluation and meeting them, that we discovered that have like 30, 90-day waits on them. And maybe or maybe not, because publicly, it could be a privately traded real estate investment trust, or a publicly traded alternative investment that, or some sort that just has these as the criteria. But sometimes, really often, the client does not know what they bought. Has anybody ever invested in something and when you wanted to get your money out, they told you you would have to wait?
Mhm.
Or I mean, back in the day, partnerships, y'all remember that partnerships were very popular because people would do it and they would want to get income from it. And they would say, you get in this partnership and they take all your money and they buy all these properties with it. And people are doing that now. They just aren't publicly traded. They're not regulated. They're not on the stock market. But there are with every investment, but typically, we're talking about a portfolio that I would establish for you, things like that. We're able to sell them immediately with any day that the stock market opens. That is considered liquid. That's a key advantage of stock investing, because if you like a particular price, you can actually put in a limit order. We can put in an order to say, I want to purchase it at this price. If you don't want it to fall below a particular price, you can put in a standing order, good until canceled, that if it goes below this, it will sell immediately. The only disadvantage is sometimes it might pop below, then you sold out and then go back up. Well, the computer's going to sell it. It's not going to say, you sure? It's going to be done. So look at, I want to share something with you that we don't think about a lot, but I just want you to see it because I try to show these just periodically. About this is the S&P 500, and it's just saying this is just a graph provided by the S&P 500 index 90-year historical chart, and this just shows the S&P 1928, to July of last year, and over time money has grown. The value of the S&P, the 500 largest companies in the US, it has grown. That's just to show you the trend over time. But also, there's volatility though, right? But it's amazing here, like 1930, I mean, it's nothing exciting. But then I thought to myself, maybe because we're in these times, that maybe when we get over here to like 2030, 2050, that these times will feel like boring times. But we're in those times. But those times, that was not much fun. That's like a decade, a decade, a decade, a decade. Nothing really exciting happening. A decade that took basically that could be a whole generation and a half before it really started paying off. And in most of this time, Black people weren't even allowed to open up investment accounts. So if we had someone that actually could have invested at that time, I mean, that's the cost of discrimination. Look at that. But we couldn't. Now, I mean, and within my career, I was the first, one of the first blacks that firm had ever hired and allowed to do the stockbroker's exam. Like I think the second, and that's in the 1990s. So was that 50, 60, 60, 70, almost 70 years after the S&P started. And that's so that has a lot to do. Would you agree that that has a lot to do with why we didn't participate? Because we couldn't go to those firms and actually even open up the account? Yeah, Timothy said yes. Thank you, Timothy. Exister Robinson said exactly. Yes. Like a lot of it has to do with that. But now that we can participate, we have to be very strategic about not allowing the system to rob us with these little apps that are taking us away from the long-term perspective. Because they're the ones that are benefiting from the liquidity, the in and out, the rapid moves, the ideas they're hitting you with every day. And you started the month with $1,000 and you still keep flipping that $1,000 and now you're down to $850. I'm just talking about maybe it's even 400, because they keep coming bombarding you with all these ideas, but yet you have a $2,000 balance on your credit card. No, so we have to, realize that yes, now that we can participate, that we have to make sure that we're participating in a level that is best for us. Mm. Ms. Barnes asked that, do I think in the future brokerage accounts will conduct a criminal history check and bar those who have criminal history? And I know on insurance they're already doing that. And I believe that some of that is already going on because they just don't explain exactly why that person's account has been flagged, or what's going on. But I believe that it is happening because I think they're definitely, checking backgrounds. Mm. Yes, many people, Miss Rosita was saying that many people are investing like it's gambling, and it's true because investing is not. And I'm very glad you said it that way. That we have a discussion on that on our YouTube channel. That I even did an interview on CBS for that about gambling and investing are two different things, and they're going in there, just um trying to switch it like they're in a casino. You're so right. And it did not fare well, decades ago when people were doing a whole bunch of day trading and switching and quitting their jobs and trying to do those things. That's not what it's built for. Mm. And the tell him, Miss Galloway, that's right. I know that Mr. Robinson's not trying to give anybody like commercials like he did. So do you mean investors can be blocked if they have an arrest record? Mr. Bozeman, get to see your name. That I do believe that investors can be blocked. Until somebody tells me otherwise, I would say that yes, that they are being fully investigated. Um, and when you are setting up your information, like I that there's and it might be happening, and I'm sure it's happening everywhere, that is regulated, and that might be why we see a movement of people doing things that are unregulated, like the different exchanges and things. But I know a lot of the cryptocurrencies are definitely connected to the government because the government is a major holder of most of the cryptocurrencies because of when they are finding the cryptocurrencies, and when they confiscate from criminals, the government has a huge position in cryptocurrencies that they're trying to actually get rid of. So yeah, definitely um I, I don't know exactly, and it's not exactly articulated, and there is no mandate that, oh, but I know for life insurance policies for sure it asks, do you have a criminal record, da 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 da, and I have actually seen people be turned down from their past, which I feel is really sad, because when you're out, um and you're out and then you still can't, I think that that's something that should be illegal for a company to not allow you to get insurance protection just because of a criminal background. Mm. Timothy was saying that most of our people are ignorant about investing. Thank you. I hope that I will continue to bring the knowledge, and also I want to bring the knowledge that we need to make an effort to work with our people who are regulated. I am regulated, and I go through a lot of sacrifice to operate and to serve you according to the government guidelines. And there are many people who come after our community, and they are not regulated, and we are settling, for the information that they're bringing to us, but they aren't. You deserve better than that, and we should, in order for us to get the equal service and the equal protection, you need to make sure that you're working with people that can protect you, because if you decide to do things that aren't regulated with people that aren't licensed and aren't regulated, then you're putting yourself at their mercy. You really are. hmm The government is a major holder. Yes, they really are. Exactly. Oh, thank you. Most of our, yes, indeed. But thank you so much. But I also feel that the the like, for example, like the but now young people, like, for example, thank you, Miss Barnes. Like, for example, why would we want to, like, not make sure that we're getting the best at whatever we're having? Or always, if you are going into a setting of our own, what would be the incentive to bring up any other institution and in my setting? Like, there's no advantage to us, for our community, for us to do that. That we in order for our businesses to get to the level that we are asking, because we're constantly saying buy black, Black lives matter, black businesses matter, black families matters, black this. We have to develop a commitment to serving ourselves in excellence, being excellent to one another, and allowing me to give you the most excellence, but to use my limited resources to promote them, it will never happen on theirs. So we got to make sure that if we want things to change, that every time we get an opportunity to make things better, we got to make sure we take steps to do that. But I'm not going to, like, I'm not going to, like, acknowledge or bring out anybody else's name, and I asked you not to do it in the chat, because this is very important, this sentence that I'm saying. Nothing will change for us until we change. That's it. So let me go to sharing some points about stock investing, about stock strategies, why I think we should do that. Why? So I want us to invest in stocks because historically they have been a substantial option of growing your money, as you saw in the graphic when I showed you how the S&P has grown over time. So over the last 100 years, stocks have tended to rise over time, but we have to give them the time. We've had crashes, pullbacks, corrections, bear markets, bad performance, that it has been up and down over the last 100 years, but it takes time. So, really, if we say 100 years, then that's what generational wealth really looks like. The challenge would be is that all of us who are in a position to accumulate and work on building wealth, like I was saying, how important it is for you to help build AfroEconomics, for us to invest in this, because this is for the next generation. There is nothing about what this discussion is about that's really designed to benefit any of us. Because I'm talking about the 100 years. I'm trying to get us to think in generations, way past decades, in generations. So look at this. I want to show you another graphic. And so here on the top, on this top green, is the growth of $1, and this is from Morningstar, of $1 invested in small stocks versus in large stocks versus government bonds, that's in the orange, and then treasury bills, and then the rate of inflation, the cost of living, is down here in the gray. So small stocks have done over 12% over time. That's like your NASDAQ. And then your large stocks, your S&P, over 10% over the same time period. So we're talking 1926 to past, this is up to 2016. But so we're looking at over time, stocks have outperformed the other market areas. Someone said something. So well, there really isn't. Like, I wouldn't suggest that you just invest. Like, you can invest in we can invest in indexes that model the Dow Jones and model the S&P. And the most of the, I think all of them, the Dow was just 30, and those 30 are in the S&P 500. So the Dow is a more narrow index, where the S&P 500 is 500. So you will have some Dow components in your portfolio if we're doing portfolio investing. But in my typical portfolio that I would establish for you, it would have more than 30 stocks exposed in it. That's right. So then, y'all, I don't know if y'all microphones are open, please, please talk. Michelle, is your microphone open? I'm not sure.
JB, I like to say
Yes.
something.
Thank you.
This is Bridget.
Hi, sweetie.
I think I agree with everything you're saying. I think one of the misnomers in our community is that we don't teach children to have patience.
Amen.
See, that's why we can't invest, because we're so the way society is now, we don't have patience. We don't know how to wait. We don't know.
Right.
We're not being taught that we're going to have a valley experience and we're going to have a mountain experience. We're
right.
not teaching children everything's like a Richter scale.
That's right.
Everything goes up and
That's
down.
right. That's
and if you understand that concept,
that's right.
then you can invest. But if you don't
That's right.
understand that concept, you cannot invest. And because I don't know if y'all, I listened to Warren Ballantyne, and he was saying, and I've listened to him for years, from with the ups and downs and everything. And he was saying that, he said he would never do anything with our people again, because he said they just don't get it. And I understand what he's saying, because they bought some property in Flint, Michigan, and now the value of the property is not, the value went down and stuff like that. And I understand, but I'm saying we have to learn to be patient, even though
That's
the
right.
value went down. If you hold on to it long enough, the
That's right.
value is going to go back up.
That's
That's
right.
what I'm saying. We have to
That's
teach
right.
our children to have patience
That's
and
Mhm.
right.
don't spend your
That's
money
right.
all today, because
That's right.
there's something called tomorrow.
That's right.
And you got to have something for tomorrow. But I feel good in my soul right now, so I'm not going to
Amen.
preach y'all.
That's
But that
right.
I just wanted to share
That's
that with y'all.
right.
So we
I
can
heard,
do something.
But you're right.
I heard the same program that she heard on Warren Valentine this morning, and he
Mm,
did. I mean, he was so adamant. He said, "I will never." I
mm.
mean, he
Mhm.
emphasized the word never invest with some of you people again. Never in a lifetime. He certainly did.
Well, my
Mhm.
look, my hope is built on nothing less than Black people and God. the,
Yeah.
the definitely I have wrapped my career around my community and the commitment to Afroeconomics, but it is a cross to bear
Oh yeah,
because of
it
what,
is.
because of what we've been through. But at the same time, I would not trade it for the world. And I was thinking about that, because we are loyal people. And what happens is a lot of people aren't committed to service. Like I serve, I serve, and I serve. Like and I serve and in many situations it's not enough. But the overwhelming majority of people realize that JB goes beyond the call of duty. You know what I'm saying? Like most, and I know that what we've been through, so I try to make sure that I over provide information, over compensate, over inform, and over serve. But if a person is not committed to that, then they don't get the blessing of the loyalty that we share. Because I know that if anything, if I ever needed anything, that I know I could depend on you all for it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
just and a lot of people don't do business with people that care about them like that. Like when I can say I love and respect you all, I love and respect you all. The people that come at me without love and respect, they're not members. When somebody says like something outlandish to me, they're not on our team. You can always tell, like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? They not somebody with JB because I'm 100 all about loyalty, all about us. And I've told many Black organizations the same, that if Black people feel one smidgen of lack of loyalty within you, they will spit you out. You know what I'm saying? That just period. So I can't even imagine going on the radio saying nothing like that about us. I'm that much in love with I love myself too much. Like I am Black. I don't know. Is he Black?
He's Black, but I
Oh,
understand why he said
Yeah.
what he said,
but you
because
can't
he's
say it
frustrated.
because there are
Mhm.
too many of us. There's too many good ones. You know what I'm saying? He ain't met you yet, and you're a good customer, and you are
Oh
good.
yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's too many of us for him to say something like that. And I'm
Well,
not. I refuse to let somebody break my heart like that.
JB, this is Angela. I agree. I'm sure a lot of us have experiences with our own people, contractors. I mean,
Hmm.
it runs the gamut, but
Hmm.
I refuse to give up on us.
Amen. Amen.
I'm gonna keep working
That's
and finding that
that's right.
jewel,
That's
that
right.
plumber, that
That's
electrician.
right.
I mean, I'm blessed to
Mm,
own a couple properties,
that's
and it's
right.
been our people that has really take my money. You pay them
That's
like they
right.
won't have for their job,
That's
and then they
right.
get ghosts.
Ditto,
But
ditto.
Mm,
I refuse to give up on us.
that's right.
We have to step up our game.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? If
That's right.
refuse to give up, it's gonna be
That's right.
somebody out there. As
That's
long
right.
as if I keep looking, I'm gonna find that
That's
one that's
right.
gonna treat me like
That's
I
right.
treat them.
And we're gonna look, right? And we're going to be the example of it. Like Afroeconomics, I'm committed that it is going to be something that Black people have never seen before. Like, I mean, we have a free membership. There is absolutely no reason. When I see that 1,500 people are on my contact list and have not signed up for at least the free membership, that lets you know how abused we have been as a people. That lets you know. 1,500 people want my information, but can't give me a phone number, phone number and an email and a name. That's scary. But that, but I'll continue to do what? Continue to serve, continue to serve, continue to serve, and die trying. That's what we're put here. That's what we're put here to do. Cause I'm just too blessed. I've been everything. My life has been, too good. But
It's important for
I
us
feel you, Miss
as
Davis.
this is Benita. It's important for us as consumers to put the word out there when we come across good business people, because too often we rarely see people on the news that don't do well, especially as African Americans. But it's important for us as a consumer when we see people doing good, like you, to put the word out there, because there's nothing like word of mouth saying this person blessed me by the way they show me how to do the investments. And
thank you. And like our business network, your daughter attended the business network, on Friday, but that's given her an opportunity to see other people talking about their businesses, take her business more seriously, and people pay for stuff like that, and that we're providing for free because of you, the paid members of AfroEconomics. We are doing cooperative economics. We are living Kwanzaa. This is what we do. Like, we are the ones who are paying. You are pulling it forward for everyone else. Don't ever doubt yourself, that you're not making a difference to your community. As long as you're a part of this, you are giving back. And we raised like $3,000 for domestic violence for Yeshua's house. You know what I'm saying? Just us. We're just deciding to do that. We're feeding the women with nowhere to live with their kids. Like, we're making a difference. But let me go on with our tips for our investment strategy. So also I wanted that money that sits in cash will lose its value over time. We have to develop an understanding of inflation, that the cost of things are going to go up regardless of what you do. So we have to make sure that we're wise investors so that we're doing the right thing with our money. Like, we can have some money in cash. You have your emergency money in cash. That's cool, but you can't build your whole retirement on cash equivalents like CDs. We're doing that too often. And investing in stocks has become so much easier, for us, because you can do it through your work plan. So all you need to do is get me or someone that you trust as a licensed financial advisor to help you choose the right allocations of the mutual funds at work, or set up your portfolios. Don't, but make sure that you know what you're investing in. Like, because each of these funds at work are made up of stocks. Like, sometimes I'll get calls and people will go, well, I think I should buy, Apple stock or whatever. And then I go, well, you already have Apple stock. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, because you have such and such and such, and Apple stock is in there, as well as blah, 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 And then I saw, like, there's this gaming stock that is a big holding of in my portfolios, but that gaming stock is like up dramatically today, and their sales have been up all the way through COVID. Like, we're making money on things that you don't even realize that you're making money on, because you're participating in the market and allowing me to help you. So also, my fifth point is that stocks are liquid. Means you can get to the cash quickly, as we were talking about when I was giving you the scenario of the illiquid doctor, right? And that also, if you decide to um if you decide to not be in the stock market, you have to realize how much that you are sacrificing by not participating in the market. Often we don't realize that, because you think, well, because you get the loan, and the loan allows you to buy a particular property, and you put, say I got this property and I only had to put $20,000 in it, and then the property, you get this loan, for it with your $20,000 down payment, and then when you sell it, you make $50,000, 30 years later. You haven't seen what you could have done if you had invested that into the proper portfolio. That 20,000 may have really outperformed without the headaches, without the stress, you know what I mean, without the, having to deal with it's empty, and dealing with the debt and the mortgage. You possibly could have really outperformed the other investment that you chose to do with that down payment money. So, and then also, and we overlook this a lot, stocks, many stocks pay dividends. So you can actually say, don't reinvest. Like we can set up a portfolio, and if it weren't a retirement account, and we could say, don't reinvest, even in a retirement account, we could say, don't reinvest the dividends of that individual stock or of that mutual fund that the stocks are in. And the dividends in that fund or in that will go into your cash, and you could use that for income. So if you had a portfolio that was paying out, say 4% then that's for every 100,000, you're getting 4,000 of income. So you get easily at $500,000 at a 4% dividend income, you could be making 20,000 in income, but it would be broken up most likely quarterly. But so we don't think about, and I remember back in the day when I would do my little workshops, and I would say, well, stock is buying partial ownership of a company. And I think that I skip that a lot now. I kind of assume that everybody knows all of those fundamentals, and that that you can make money on stocks from capital gains, from the price going up, and also from the dividends. But we don't do that. Like, I don't really spend the time on the fundamentals. Maybe I got tired of doing it because it was a hit. And you don't want to keep playing your same record again. But that's very important. This discussion about the fundamentals of what you're making. And then if that stock is in a mutual fund and the stock price goes up and they sell it, that gain goes into that fund. Then you're reinvesting into that fund, or they're leaving it out there into your cash component, because you can turn the reinvestment off of the fund. But isn't that interesting to think about the fundamentals again? And when we're investing in stocks, remember, we're just buying parts of businesses. So if you feel good, Latanya, about the future of American business, then what? You buy part of business. And then a person asked me about IPOs. I think IPOs are overrated. I really feel that there are so many stocks out there who have historical performance that why would I waste my time on an IPO, especially if I'm a long-term investor? Why not let the short-term investor worry about that? Because typically they'll come out, they'll pop up, and they do what? Come back down, typically. So if you're in it for the long term, or especially if you're developing wealth over your career, or you're retired and you just want the money, like, why would I be going around chasing IPOs? Why make it complicated? Don't you think sometimes when it comes to investing, and we're talking about stocks, that the society that we live in tries to make it seem like it's very complicated and only like a white boy thing? Tell the truth. Nobody gonna say nothing.
Yes.
Don't you think so? Like, they're trying to make it, but yet when it comes to real estate, they actually try to make it out like, but this is for everybody. Have you noticed that? But
Yeah.
this is over here. This is on its own channel. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Like it's an exclusive club for certain
like
people.
something special. Like you got to be like extra smart. this is for the smart people. And it's not.
Well,
It
sometimes
is not. Uh-huh.
they speak to you in terms so that you don't understand it, so you feel that way. They don't
That's
break it
right.
down so you can understand it.
Exactly. EPS, IPO, EIs, IOEs, you know what I'm saying? All this stuff, CGs and BV, and I'm like, why do y'all have to use an acronym for everything? You're not talking to each other. That's how ignorant they are. That's ignorant because you're not talking to each other. So obviously, but most of the people that you see on TV don't deal with customers. That's why when you hear me on television, I sound like somebody that has some sense because I deal with the customer. I talk to you. These idiots, not idiots, I apologize. These some of the people that are on television don't deal with customers. They only deal with us. And then they put them on TV as an expert, and then who's watching? You. It's like, why would you allow somebody who doesn't know how to talk to them? It's like a doctor who talks, you know, in crazy language talking about your thigh bone, but they said it with the body part bone. Like, it's just so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, why don't you just say his upper leg or something? You know what I mean? Why do I have to know some 5-letter word for that bone? It's most important, the bone. But definitely, like, that is the same thing that most of the things, even in your industry, you're in healthcare, you know how y'all do that. If you want to look, somebody said the femur. I love it. But I'm sure there's a more complicated word for femur because I knew femur and I was like, nah, that's too simple. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like something else. Femur is an abbreviation probably of a longer word. Trust me, right? And you'd be like, nope, nope, that's it, femur. No, but it's probably a femur luca nakas lakatika maka, but most of the time, if we're whatever we're talking about, I remember that though. I remember going into University of Virginia Business School and everybody talking in a language that was like, why are they talking that way? And I remember one of my professors saying that the only one in this class that is going to truly make it is her. And all of them white people looked at me like, what is he talking about? And he had been one of the founders of FedEx. And he said, because she, first of all, spoke to me when she came in the room. And she's the only one that seems to have like a actual personality. The rest of y'all just are talking to each other, talking about your party and talking about whatever, and he just got on them like real bad about just not being polite and kind. And one of the kids had cut him off in the parking lot and took his space, all this stuff. It was like, but it was like, but we really, if you can understand, that's the key. You're the one with the assets. You're the one with the money. Anyone who cannot communicate with you, they're at a loss. I don't care how good you feel about yourself because you were taught. I mean, there are some people though who enjoy working with people who don't communicate with them. And then when I meet them and I ask them, what do you have? They don't even know what they invested in, but they felt that it was important to make that person think they understood. You see what I'm saying? It's like, when the doctor comes in and the doctor says, you have this, 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 and this, and this. And then when the nurse comes in, they go, what did he say? Why didn't you ask him? You know, that's what we have to make sure that we do when it comes to our money, that we always are communicated to directly, that we understand exactly what we're doing. And to me, if I had a client that went somewhere and said, I don't know what, and they said, I don't know what JB Bryan has me in, to me, that would be failure. That would be failure. Success is you understanding what you have and feeling confident about it and it being appropriate for your risk tolerance so that you sleep well at night. So diversifying is another key reason that we need to make sure that we consider stocks in our portfolio. And I'm saying stocks, I'm not just saying individual stocks. I'm saying stocks in the ETFs, which means exchange traded funds or mutual funds or individual stocks. Stocks in any form are part of your diversification asset allocation. Now, asset allocation is how you diversify across asset classes. So you could actually be diversified, but have everything in the same asset class. Does that make sense? So you could be diversified and have 100 different stocks, but that's not a good asset allocation for a person who is a moderate risk level. So I have to make sure that you're diversified and that you have the asset classes, but also diversified within the asset classes, like having some bonds, having some cash, having some real estate, having some stocks, and then what percentage of each will be based on your risk tolerance. But we become overwhelmingly heavy in real estate because of the domination of our residential real estate in our wealth. Because if that ends up being like, you have this huge amount of debt in the residential real estate, then you could be, have way too much real estate exposure and not be diversified enough across growth potential of the stock market. So we would have to look at that. And we're working on that for a lot of you. And then and you could also, stocks allow you to own part of companies that you really love. Like when I show you the top 10 components of your portfolio, and you'll say, oh, okay, I like that company. Oh, I like that company. Oh, I like that company. And then when you walk in there, you have another level of respect for it, and even for yourself. Stock investing, my final point is that stock investing broadens our knowledge of the economy, of investing in products across the market, and how different industries are impacted by different economic changes. Everything. The stock market just broadens us as investors. Indeed. Any questions before y'all leave me? Any questions? Did y'all enjoy that discussion?
Yes.
Yes, I am a fiduciary financial planner. I am a registered investment advisor, which is a higher level than just fiduciary, because I've noticed that everybody's using fiduciary. But as a registered investment advisory firm, we have to work in the best interest, So it's basically, I have to nothing has to just be suitable. You could be a fiduciary, but only have to have things suitable for the client. But just because something is suitable doesn't mean it's in your best interest. But as a registered investment advisor, I have to do things in your best interest. So, definitely, if you want the top level of responsibility to you, definitely investigate working with registered investment advisors. Indeed. Oh, thank you.
Would
Thank you.
commercial real estate be better right now than in residential real estate?
No, probably, I mean, a quick answer, I would say no, but in another way, you could look at it as, because there's so many businesses that are moving out of their properties and not renewing their leases, and everybody's working from home. So that's not good for commercial real estate. But and commercial, but commercial real estate, the businesses that do have to stay, they don't have this like moratorium and no eviction notice and protection and stuff. So the people that do own commercial property are, more likely to be getting paid right now, unless the business just leaves. So that's I guess the answer to that is it depends. That's the best answer to give you, is that it depends, and we would have to look closely at it. But you actually, there are stocks that invest in commercial real estate, and that you can buy and sell, that they're traded like stocks, but the company is publicly traded, and they're made up of all of these different businesses. So if you want commercial real estate, you still could do that through stocks instead of having to worry about actually buying the property. So real estate investment trusts are an option. Good question.
What's the least amount can you invest in that?
It depends. Another one, it depends. But for members, for full financial planning members of AfroEconomics, I've never made a minimum requirement. No, so it gives you a huge advantage being a member. Indeed, it does. But there's some products that may have a minimum, but on my brokerage accounts for full members, they don't have minimums. A good question. Just because of their commitment to the firm. Well, thank you. I wish I could hear more, y'all, but those of you who spoke up, Ms. Perkins, Ms. Davis, y'all are doing it. Ms. Barnes, for all your texting. How you doing, Mr. Richardson? Ms. Worley, it's so good to see y'all, and I'm praying for you and your daughter and your family, and all of you all have a safe trip. And beautiful, you rock. You rock. How you doing, Miss Stewart? Tell your mom I'm thinking about her. We need to talk. Thank you so much. I'm glad to see JC Jumpers back in the house. Hi, Miss Hodge. I'll be talking to you soon. Hi, Miss Neville. That's right. That's right. Y'all are the best. Hi, Miss Granite. Y'all keep smiling. Y'all get them turkeys going. We should do one big Zoom. I'm just joking. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Then we'll be checking out of Zooms and going into other Zooms, huh? You're like, we got enough Zooming going on Thanksgiving. We won't even be able to eat. There'll be so many people. Check in here. Are you gonna log in? Well, I love y'all.
Love you, Doc.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Good night.
Good night.
Talk to y'all Friday morning, members only. Friday afternoon, our business network. Let's make it happen.
All right.
JB@jbbryan.com.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Thank you, Mr. Bozeman. Thank you.